Y'all. Yes. It's Brother Dooley here. Um, let's let that ring out for a second with that singing bowl. Indeedy. Yo, it's been a while since I did a video, and I wanted to do a video just to give you an update on some of the wonderful things that I've been experiencing and into of lately. Just got back from Mexico, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I was there for 2 weeks. And I had a great time. I mean, got back last night off the plane and off the grip. First of all, I was like, it to have the food, the fresh food there was amazing. You know what I mean? I noticed, and people tell me that all the time when you're traveling, just seeing the food quality. You know that a lot of our food, a lot of different countries don't even accept it because of just the craziness. That's the chemicals, pesticides, and all that. So to have the level of food quality there while I was in Mexico was amazing. To wake up and go to the beach and sit on with the waves and Mama Water was just refreshing, and to sit with the people. You know, I spent a lot of time just being able to vibe with the locals there, and by the time I left, they was like, Dule, Dule, you know what I mean? So it was great, man. A lot of times I spent some time with a lot of tattoo artists, sitting back, having a nice drink with folk, vibing with people. And I actually got this brother, he made this snake venom, this snake skin, bracelet for me. And made this other joint. I gotta show y'all this, man. Because I was just vibing with the artists down there too. And check this out. Hold on, let me put this on. This is made out of the diamondback rattlesnake. All right. Now this one right here, there's this one brother here. He made this joint for me, man. It's out of the vertebrae of the diamondback. So could put this joint right over my ear right here. Bong, bong, bong. Then put this joint right here like this. Bong, bong, bong. And there you go. So he made that joint for me, man. So I was like, man. I was like, word. I was like, give thanks, man. A lot of talented folk there. So he made the bracelet and made the whole snake piece joint there. So had to grab that up since y'all, we deal with the snake venom, snake elixir. And speaking of snake elixir, also I was down there to do some training with one of my teachers, and came across some new venoms that I was learning about. One particular one is the green mamba. The green mamba, man, powerful, powerful, powerful elixir there, because it deals with ancestral trauma. And I have a classmate that has been dealing with the green mamba, and she has said the same thing, like, things with a lot of shadow work. So it's a lot of shadow work that comes up with working with that particular snake, and brings things to the surface. And I remember my classmate, she was saying how as soon as she started working with that particular venom, not only things came up for her, but even just she was seeing things unfold for her family and all that, just things coming to the surface. And so I was interested. I was like, man, may see how that affects me, man, when I take that venom. So that was one of the venoms I actually was sitting with. And I have to say, I got very emotional. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, I was like, why am I feeling this way, depressed or sad, or all these little different things of feelings coming up? And I had to examine it. I had to look at it and take some mental note. And but the green mamba definitely on that level. And our Another one I dealt with was the black mamba, which really, I should get my notes on some of these things that I took down here. Let me see. Give me a second, y'all. But I know the green mamba definitely, I mean, the black mamba definitely deals with a lot of mental, on a neurotoxin level. So it definitely deals with anything dealing on a mental level, healing the brain and stuff like that. Because I was feeling so much activity in my brain area. It was very, very powerful. Um, and also another one was the, what is it called? The timber rattlesnake. I usually deal with the diamondback, but the timber powerful, because that one has all the different toxins in it. So it's cardiotoxin, it's neurotoxin, it's uh you know, cytotoxin, all of them. So that particular snake venom deals with so many different aspects with yourself. So it's going to be working on mental level, cleaning your blood, dealing with your heart, dealing with your organs. And I have to say, when I sat with that one, it was very interesting, because it was like it was giving me energy, but at the same time it was relaxing me. At the same time, felt stuff working on my brain, felt like energy going up and down the spine on a whole kundalini level. So that one might be my new favorite actually elixir. um and then of course I sat with the king cobra, which is one of the oh yeah, the timber rattlesnake too. That deals with also diabetes type 2, and also helps with the thymus gland. So a lot of our people, we know, are dealing with a lot of diabetes issues. So I was very happy to work with that one and see what that was about. But also the king cobra, wee, and king cobra, as you know, that joint eats other snakes. It's humongous. And that one is very mental. Um, First day I was even dealing with that, I was feeling so woozy. I was like just feeling really super relaxed. Like I had to do a psychic surgery that day. And my first client, I didn't really want to do the psychic surgery because I was so like, I don't know, super relaxed, too relaxed. Next day when I took it, it had a different effect. I wasn't as relaxed as before. But these particular medicines, what up though? Someone says Zen. I Yeah, man. Hey, peace. What's going on now? What up? What up? What up? It's a special medicine, man. I've been seeing a lot of testimonies from people. Somebody else here. Any advice on what's good for fibroids? Oh yeah, fibroids. Water moccasin, all day, all day. Fibroid cysts, water moccasin. You know what I mean? Water moccasin's very good for any type of fibroid issues. I had one woman who had a cyst. Second treatment with water moccasin, joint was gone. You know what I mean? So water moccasin's always also good for any women issues, repairing the womb, dealing with menopause, um, regulating the menstrual cycle. I mean, even on a trauma, even on the tip of trauma, like if there's any trauma dealing with the womb, it also deals on that level, on a spiritual, psychological level as well. Also great for the skin. I seen somebody, one of actually Dr. Wayne Chandler, one of my Qigong teachers. He actually sent me something in my messenger the other day. He's like, Dooley, I thought about you when I seen this. And it was this Asian woman, I think she was in her 60s, and she looked like could pass like she was like 30. And somebody, fibroids is extra broken fiber. Okay. Zen joint, just put that on there. That's what's up, bro. Okay, thank you. Do you know where I can find it? Yeah, you could get at me. You know what I mean? Get at me, and you could come to my town, or if you want to set something up for like a little retreat for a couple of days for people, get at me. You could email me, love mother earth number 33 at gmail.com, or I'm on IG and Facebook as Shaman Dooley, Duli. You know what I mean? And just leave me a message there, and I'll get back to you sooner than later. Okay. Oh yeah. But yeah. If I'm in Boston in the Beantown, so if you want to come up here and see me, spend a couple of days, you can. I'm also in Brooklyn on every Wednesday and Thursday. You know what I mean? So you always could go up there too. Uh, yeah. You up in Greentown, Boston. Yeah, man. I'm up in the Bean, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, born and raised in Roxbury, man. You know what I mean? So that's the same town. Bobby Brown, Ed O.G., and the Bulldogs, all that, you know. But yeah, I'm in Brooklyn also, up on Nostrand Ave on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Yeah. So, boom. Yeah, the venoms, man. I've been seeing a lot of testimonials. I mean, amazing. It's amazing medicine that could work on a lot of different levels. But it was interesting. My teacher, he gave me a ketamine session. Now, this is interesting because my teacher said there's different ways that people take ketamine, right? Of course, smoking it, snorting it, all that, very not good for you. You could see that people getting messed up from that. But from the level of research of people who were war veterans, literally stress disorder, disappear in one session. You know what I mean? Or somebody made a comment here. I have no idea. I just showed up here. You hard to her. Where? Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Zen Atman. So the injection, the whole different scenario. First time I had my ketamine injection experience was about 3 years ago. And I did it with this sister at the time. So I was not that much there available for myself because I was trying to make sure Shorty was good, right? But and it felt like a amusement ride, a amusement park ride. Like I was going through this little tunnel thing, and boom, next thing I know, I'm feeling all the energy from the earth and all that. So it was a good experience, right? But my teacher had me do it after I did the Green Mamba because a lot of emotional stuff. Green Mamba does a lot of shadow work. So I'm like, boom, he's seeing I'm in the zone. Like, damn, kind of down today. So we do the ketamine, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you, that was a very interesting experience. Um, it reminded me of Bufo in certain aspects, but I was able to slow down the experience much and analyze it from a more objective place, you know. And I remember my teacher says that ketamine, when it's injected, is more intellectual. And I asked him, "Where do you feel this medicine came from? Where's the origins?" He proclaimed that he proclaimed it as alien technology because he said it popped up around the same time in the 30s with the Roswell crash. So I found that was interesting, but I was able to go into my higher self and witness myself as part of the all and creating these realities, you know what I mean? And it was off the hook because I was able to really sit there, witness all of that from these higher dimensions, and still be able to understand this avatar known as Dooley. You know what I mean? It was amazing, and I was sitting back laughing the whole time. Like my teacher's there, I'm laying on the couch, and I'm like, ha, and I'm getting this download right here, right now, and I see this, you know what I mean? But it was interesting, and it felt even more interesting coming back into my body, and I remember that whole day. I was in the zone. I had to go to the beach and just lay there, you know. And by the way, I was in Zipolite, so it was like they have this nude beach over there. So it's beautiful. I was just talking to my sister and my niece about that. Like we over sexualize things so much in the US, you know, in the West, you know, and it even when you're encountering a different lifestyle or a different way that people live their life, you have to decolonize your whole thinking, and it's like, wow, okay, you know, this is our bodysuit. Nudity is whatever, you know what I mean? But you know, people over sexualize things, get so caught in their feelings on certain things that we're born naturally with, you know. But yeah, I was laying on that beach and just taking it in, knowing that without a shadow of a doubt that we God, you know what I mean? And that this source or whatever we want to call it is is filtering itself down, and basically, you know, living its experience for all of us. You know what I mean? And it's an amazing thing to experience. And these are the mystic traditions. You know, there's people out there that have these what we call samadhi, or these experiences of oneness, 24 hours knowing that they're God. You know what I mean? And I just like, for example, I just got off the phone with this client, and she was telling me about her first mushroom experience. And she went by, someone says, I so missed your builds, beloved. Somebody keep on calling. This is a Comcast, man. They're going to have to hear from me later, you know. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, a lot of times I make videos when I'm called, you know. I just don't like to just make a video because do you have to keep your following, or this is the thing to do. I'm very old school in that manner. I'm like, I feel when spirit calls me to build with the people, that's what I'm gonna do, you know. So it's like a lot of times, I've been doing a lot of just inner work on myself, and where I've been going with my journey is just, it goes beyond the intellect, yo. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, it is what it is. It's just a being, you know, just being. You know what I mean? And you know, this is one cosmic play really being played out, y'all. And it's our birthright to know who and what we really are, you know. And that goes back to this client that I was just speaking to. She's dealing with some type of illness that, and it's gonna come up and see me soon so I could work with her. But she's like, her first mushroom experience, she went back millions of years to the time of dinosaurs. This is her experience. And she was able to see even certain things, like one of her ancestors came to her, and her ancestor was like shaking her head and said, I'm so sorry that we left you to deal with all this work by yourself. You know, I don't know what that meant in her world, but you know, there was a disconnect that happened in her family bloodline, you know. And we hear about it all the time, the black sheep of the family or what have you, those who are there to redeem the bloodline, you know. So this is our birthright, to know thyself, man. You know what I mean? To really go in and know who we are, and to really step into that power, step into that place of knowing, you know. And sometimes it's good to go on these journeys to get a reminder of that, you know. But I want to share with you this book that I've been reading lately, you know, and two books actually. This one book right here is talking about the eight brocades, right? And I'm for people that are familiar with me or know my work, know that I've been doing qigong and tai chi, and for some years now, and I'm all about any of the arts that deal with cultivating the life force energy in you. All right. So for instance, me doing this psychic surgery work, A lot of it has to do with building up your life force energy first, so you can be able to, for instance, take out diseases out of people or do transmutation with individuals, basically turning something negative into positive. But you cannot do that if you do not have the life force energy. If you're not high in your vibration, it's a possibility that you could get sick mentally, physically, spiritually. You could hold on to that residue, and if you don't know how to shake it, that's not good for you. But using the life force energy, and it's just been really past these past 2 years after doing this type of work for 20 some years, where I'm starting to feel uh, um cheers, my friend. See you soon. Okay, peace. Peace. And where I'm able to really feel this cultivation of the life force in breathing in a certain way. It's like the only way I could explain it is like you're eating something other than food, you know? And when you know how to pack in this chi into the beginning place where they would call your Don 10 area or your navel area, all kinds of things start to pop off, with your powers and all kinds of stuff. But this one is called Qigong Teachings of a Taoist Immortal. All right. The 8 essential exercises of Master Li Ching Yong. Now, who's Master Li Ching Yong? This is one of the dudes that on record, right, was considered to be the most oldest person that ever lived on record. Right? Now, side note, there are many people that know of certain masters that have been living 300, 400, 500 years old. There's this one guy named Babaji. You might hear about him. And some people say I mean, the numbers for the saying how much he lived was like, I think 800, maybe 1,000, I'm not sure. But there's people that actually reverse the aging process. And that's the whole science of Taoism itself anyway, is of the science of the immortals. And not necessarily like even he says in his book of the living forever, but literally learning how to age with grace. So being able to still have vital energy and be flexible and just like a young person, but yet still aging, but not aging in a way that everybody else age. You know what I mean? So this guy, I'm gonna show you a picture of him. Check this out. And what's interesting about this book is that they said he lived to be 256 years old. All right. Um, uh, huh? You could find one of my shirts. That's my big sister. She's like, "Is there a towel in here?" I was like, "Good luck." You know what I mean? Yeah, I got a shirt here, baby. Let's see. Yeah. Well, now that's my big sis. Now, I'll show you a picture of this guy. Gotta have your funny moments, right? Now, they say, and there was an article written about him in New York Times. I think it was around 1932 or 1933. And the only reason why people, hey, one person says, one love bedroom, Pudge Mental TV, peace. What's going on, family? Now the reason why he had a student who was very wealthy, and I'll get to the guy's name here, because a lot of these people, these mystics, a lot of them like to be on to live by themselves. They try to stay away from society, and you'll hear it all the time. And there's a reasons why is the cultivation of energy. When you're on a serious path of cultivating your energy and opening up your powers, you don't have the time to get caught up in the gossip or the bullshit, or what I mean. It's a waste of energy. So you start to learn different ways to save your energy, because it's like It's like your charger. You like your cell phone or whatever. You're low. You got recharge, right? So you don't want to be in environments where it's constantly sapping you of your energy. All right. Now this is a picture. The picture of the dude. All right. This is a picture of him right here. All right. Ling Ching Yun. Now, this dude, this is the only living picture of him, and he got this picture taken by him, by the wealthy dude that he was one of his students, and they asked if they could take a picture of him. He was on record to being 256 years old. In the book, it says that supposedly he died during that time in the 30s or whatever. But what happened, what in my opinion, and what even the author hints, is that he told one of his main students like, hey, you know, tell him I passed, and went back to the forest or whatever. So this dude could still be living today, but for all we know. But one thing we do know about him is that he was herbalist and that he was a Qigong practitioner. All right. He did the 8 brocades, which talks about these 8 exercises in this book. All right. And what's so interesting about Qigong is this. This is another book. I'm just giving y'all some references so we can kind of open up and expand our worldview on reality more. All right. Before I jump to the other book, oh, I'm sorry. This was an important part in this book. There was one dude here. Let me see if I got his name right. It's talking about, because when you're dealing with Qigong, when you're dealing with Tai Chi, when you're dealing with Bagua, when you're dealing with any internalized art system, then there's the mastery of the breath. And we know in the etymology, dealing with the definition of breath, we know is defined as spirit. All right, the ka. So you have to have breath control. You know what I mean? KRS One, remember he did that some breath control. You have to learn how to master the breath. Now it's this guy right here. See this dude right here? This dude's name is Ko Ko Hung. You know what I mean? Now, this dude was interesting because he was a Qigong brother and also an alchemist. And check this out. This dude used to spend his summers sometimes just sitting underwater all day, So he would go to sit at the end of on the bottom of the lake or whatever, right? Now, let me read it. Somebody says, peace, peace. Harry Reese. Hey, peace, y'all. It says, let me see what it says about him. About 600 years later, Ko Hong, a 4th century Taoist alchemist, adept, and writer, reports that his uncle, Ko Hishan, no. So this was the dude writing about his uncle. Let me get that right. The dude's uncle was named last name Hsuan, would sit at the bottom of a pond holding his breath for almost an entire day. Okay, when the summer heat was too unbearable. This is an indication that Ko Hu Suan was very adept at stopping the breath. In many instances in his work, the PAO/PUTZU, uh, Hong, his nephew, I guess, wrote this book, said, a Ko Hong advocates these type of breathing for for the attainment of longevity and immortality. Now, someone just put a comment on there, fake, what they say, fake or something like this. Hold on, let's read it. I love it. Fake one whole day, how? Okay, now I'm gonna tell you one thing, because it's not about reading and hearing about somebody else's experience. I agree. We should test anything out. No, we should take anybody's word for anything. And that's why I love the fact of experiential knowledge. You know what I mean? And I could tell you, I've been doing Qigong Tai Chi for almost about 25, 26 years now, right? And there's levels to this, y'all. There's levels to this. You know what I mean? When you start to cultivate yourself, and first and foremost, we have to just understand that we're just starting to, modern day science is just starting to understand our machinery here, this body. They still they haven't figured out the workings of how the mind, the brain, all this stuff, the ins and outs of it, modern day science. So our system of education and where we're at, we have to understand for first and foremost that we have dumbed ourselves down. You know, what we're capable of is, you know, crazy in comparison to what the feats of what our ancestors were capable of. Okay. First and foremost, I could say that even from an experience of working with one client one time, and this brother, his aunt and his mother came to me and wanted me to work with him because they were going to put him in a mental institution. He was dealing with hearing voices, all kinds of things. And essentially, when I sat down and had a consultation with him, I was like, well, you're having a spiritual awakening. Your son is having a spiritual awakening, and he does not have the tools to ground himself. All right. But when I did a psychic surgery with him, usually sometimes when I'm doing the psychic surgery, there's things that entities, diseases, or numerous of things that might be plaguing a person. This young man didn't have nothing going on with him like that. He just needed a realignment in his energetic body and a DNA download. When I went back, when I was working with him, they showed me that he went back to Atlantis. And this was the first time I was able to see how the earth looked like during that time. Man, the architecture of what our ancestors were doing back then was amazing. I've never seen any buildings built like that before. And it looked like they were built out of crystal, which was even more mind-boggling to me. But it was beautiful. You know what I mean? But that's just on an architectural level. Now, I'll tell you, one time I had an experience where I was doing this Qigong breathing, right? And I was microdosing with mushrooms that day. And I remember I was breathing in such a long time. And people that sit with me and do Qigong and stuff, first thing that people always tell me is like, Dooley, man, how can you breathe in so long? Like your lungs is like, Wu-Tang Clan, they say Method Man, he used to call himself the iron lungs. I mean, it was like, Dooley, you got the iron lungs, you know? And so people are used to me doing very deep breathing, right? Someone says, yes, a never ending breath. I've done this too. It's amazing. Yes, it is. And fill you up like a balloon. Yes. And that's that. And they talked about this in this book as well. They said that let's just face it, as adults, most people are just breathing from their upper chest. All right. So you're not using your full lung capacity first and foremost. All right. And because of that, we're not oxygenating our blood enough. The blood is not even circulating to different places where it needs to. All right. And then it's the phenomena of the chi, of the life force energy. All right. I really would we recommend people listening to this to check out this book called the Magus of Java. All right. It's highlighting the encounter with this guy. If you haven't seen him, it's on the internet. You could look it up. Where this dude is this Asian man. He's setting. They call him diamond. What they call these Europeans call him Diamond Jack or something like that. But he's setting things on fire. He's actually setting this newspaper on fire with his life force energy, with his chi. All right. And you could see it. And they got these guys, he's doing healings on people, but it feels like there's electric shocks going through people when they're receiving these treatments, right? Um, I did these extremely long blasts filled with intention and end up starting to shed skin shells. And I just started spitting up something. Where did it happen? Spitting up. I imagine entering a new body. Wow, that's deep. That's what, we need to hear more experiences, more about things like this, to let people know these things are possible. You know, but the dude, the book that I was just referring to, these guys, they showed them on the video trying to put these wires on him and stuff. They're trying to figure out what is he emitting out of his hand. They don't understand the concept of chi or life force. They on their measurement machines, they're like, well, it's not electricity. What is he doing? But I'm having this shock type of sensation, you know? So, so there in Western medicine, there's no studies about the life force energy. Okay. There's nothing about that. There's nothing about the meridian system or the nadis, which they call in India. It's only recently that maybe Western medicine is embracing some places the idea of acupuncture, you know. But Qigong is doing what acupuncture does without the needles. You see, so you're opening up these energy pathways. You're opening up the main energy pathway in the middle of the palm called Lai Gong. You know what I mean? And you're able to project energy. You're able to take in this life force energy and literally unpack all kinds of things. Okay. Okay. So one time when I was doing this breathing, I'm used to doing really deep breathing. But I remember that day I was breathing in for minutes. And when I decided to literally hold my breath, it felt like I felt like that at that moment, like I didn't have to breathe on everything I love, on my mother's grave, yo. You know what I mean? I felt like I didn't have to breathe. And then and guess what? Because we are so conditioned to see reality in a certain way, these five sense type of things or whatever, when something goes outside of that reality, it's like that logical mind kicks in and it's like, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. That goes against this reality that I'm living in. This can't be happening, you know? And that's how I felt in that moment when I felt like, wow, I don't have to breathe right now. It was like the logical side of my brain started to kick in. It was like, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, you don't supposed to be doing this, Dooley. And that's when I exhaled. You know what I mean? But if I experiment, what if I decided that day not to sway with my logical mind and decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna roll with this. I'm gonna see how long I could go with just not breathing. Let's see where this is going to take me. You know? So when I read about this person, you have a painting of the guy that I was telling you about, his nephew. Where's a picture of him? Yeah, right there. That's a painting of him. When he's talking about his uncle sitting under this pond mostly almost the whole day, who knows? It is these people, I think near the Fiji Island, they go hunting for their fish, with their little spear or whatever thing they use, and they go deep without the scuba equipment, and they're able to just be under that water for a minute for a grip. So the thing is that like we're not really aware of what we're even possible of doing, because of this great fall, the great fall of humanity, you know? And that's why the history books and everything have to be rewritten, because we know, history is told by the oppressor, or the ones who win the war. But when we look at this, and I'm even Uncle Hank, shout out to Uncle Hank, and also Dr. Wayne Chandler, Dr. B. Wayne Chandler, because I remember Dr. Chandler, Dr. Wayne shared with me this book talking about Lemuria, you know, and saying how the level of high technology back then, we can't even fathom what, and we're looking at history, we're looking at reality from this very linear perspective. But even like that experience I had with the ketamine, you know, or even other medicines and different things I've experienced, you're you're able to be multidimensional and able to tap into all these different timelines and see and witness and experience from yourself, history from a direct experience. So even with these lies and these books to look at, like thinking that we're at our pinnacle of our technology now, like we're at the height. Man, this is kindergarten where we're at right now. You know what I mean? So, and to give you even another example of the level of chi, and we're dealing with the life force energy, I've been reading this book, which I've been really enjoying this book. It's called Journeying Through the Invisible: The Craft of Healing with and Beyond Sacred Plants, told by a Peruvian medicine man, by Hachumak. You know what I mean? Um, this book, and I was randomly in this bookstore, and the book jumped out to me. I haven't been reading a lot lately. I just, again, been doing my own inner work, doing my own type of thing. But, for some reason, I went in there. I've been really more getting into the graphic novels, the comics. But this book jumped out to me, and they said, okay, Spirit's like, okay, you need to read this. So, off the grip, he's talking about how he started his journey into becoming a healer and working with sacred medicines. And from the first chapter, he talks about how he started off dealing with the martial arts and learning about Stephanie Else's piece. Hey, what up, Stephanie L? Peace. You know, yo, I gotta put my froggy hat on. You know what I mean? I gotta give a shout out to all, because I just came back from Mexico. So I have to show y'all some of the bling wear and different things that I got. I have my snake venom, my snake skin bracelet here that one of the good brothers out there made for me. And then I found a nice froggy hat, because I deal with the combo, the sacred frog medicine. So I seen that there. I had to like, yeah, Bufo is the shit. Now, so I have to put this on for the rest of the video to give shots out to the frog. So maybe this is a toad. Maybe it is a Bufo hat too. Who knows? But you know what I mean? I seen him and his wife, everybody. I was in the Zippolite, so they have their all the people, all the artists, all of them musicians at night. They have their, everybody breaks out their table, and him and his wife was there, and she's like, "Yeah, I knitted this." I was like, "Yo, I gotta rock this. I gotta get this." So yeah, but back to this book though. Um, he started off with his martial art background, all right, and boom, he got hit by this car. Now, this is what really I try to make the connections there. I try to connect the dots. Now, one of my teachers, Dr. Wayne Chandler, if people didn't hear about this story, I remember Brother Rich was Magic 363, was interviewing Dr. Wayne, and he talked about the situation where he got hit, I believe, by an SUV. Now, when Dr. Wayne even told me about this situation, he was saying how this SUV was going super fast. He was walking across the street. It hit him. He might have got thrown maybe 20 to 30 feet. And he said like time slowed down when he was in midair. And literally, it's like when you see a cat, they say the cat, when they jump off somewhere high or whatever, they're able to like turn their body and manipulate their body in a way that they always fall on their 4 feet. Dr. Wayne was able to, like, time slow down where he was able to maneuver his body to a point where he landed on his feet, or some superhero status, right? And to top it off, he did not feel any pain when he got hit. And also, he put a dent in the car. All right, Dr. Wayne. Same thing happened with this dude in this book. When he said he got hit by a car, he said that he did not feel any pain and he put a dent in the car. You feel me? You hear me? Y'all hear me on this, right? Same thing, two situations, two different men, but guess what? They both deal with the internal arts, the cultivation of the life force energy. Okay? All right? So I was happy to read and hear about this in this book, because I got to call Dr. Wayne and let him know, like, yo, read this book, brother went through the same thing that you went through. Now, what the guy was saying was that as you build up your life force energy, you're able to have like a protective, fortified force field around you. You know what I mean? And when you're able to build this force field up even more, when the car hit the gentleman, it hit his force field before it even tapped in on his physical. Okay, so it was amazing. It's been an interesting read. I haven't finished the whole book yet. He makes a distinguish between, he said you have your regular shamans and then you have your warrior shamans. And reading the description of the warrior shaman, um, it made sense of where I stand in with my particular path, because your traditional shaman, and we know that there's certain words for medicine, man, certain terms. Shaman is a term that they would use in Siberia, you know, for those type of people there, right? But it has been synonymous as a term attached to anybody that's um, dealing with otherworldly type of activity, or dealing with the plant medicine, those who master trance, all right? Um, but basically, he was making that distinguish um, with these two group of people, saying that usually your traditional shaman is one who plays many roles, wears many hats within the community, as, an advisor, as a person that brings people together for the festivals, all kinds of different, he or she plays many different roles. Um, but the warrior shamans are usually those who are there to take off entities off of people, you know, to fight the battles on the other side. And I was like, well, I'd be goddamn. I figured out where I fall in this. Because this is some of the things I do. Now I want to read a little bit about that. Let me see here if I can find it. And he talks about the warrior shamans. Okay. And usually these warrior shamans are, again, those who are on the outskirts of the community, usually those who live by themselves. Um, because it can, well, I have to speak for myself. As you develop, and the only reason why I even share and do these videos is because we're having a renaissance here. We're having a psychedelic renaissance. We're having a awareness of going back to the old ways. And as we have this awareness of going back to the old ways, we, there's going to be more people out there that are going to have these experiences. And to have a reference point to it might help the next man, next woman out there. I don't know. But I know that when you start to develop yourself more in the field of doing this healing work, it can get lonely, because especially when you're starting to see entities and negative attachments on people, you know, you start to realize that the spirit world and this physical world, they're one and the same, you know, and what's plaguing this person of having depression or feeling like you're depressed all the time or sad all the time or have anger issues or whatever, um, you got something feeding off of you and you don't even know it. There's times where we all have different attachments, you know what I mean? And doing the work, there's been moments where I've like witnessed certain spirits, certain negative spirits fall off of me. And I'm like, oh shit, I was carrying that. So it's interesting that we walk through life and sometimes people are oblivious to not knowing that this spirit realm or this spirit reality is directly affecting our world, and on so many different levels. Um, there's a chapter in here where this guy talks about this one dude who just had these nasty, very violent um, spirits on him. And this guy came to him. He talks about in the book how he was a sex addict and also he was very manipulative. That he actually could be very violent in many situations. And hi, can I have the reading here? Yes, journeying through the invisible. Okay, the craft of healing with and beyond sacred plants, as told by a Peruvian medicine man, author Hachumak. All right, all right. Um, but during the session, um, he he talks about this. He talks about your spirit team, which when you start to get more deep into his work, you'll have your spirit team. You'll have certain people that walk with you. I talked to last video I made, I kind of spoke on that when I was in California at Mount Shasta and how I was working a lot with animal spirit helpers, So, and it makes so much sense now. And this elder named Jesse, call him Uncle Jesse, he gave me this red hawk, right here, the foot of this red hawk claw right here, and put this crystal on it. But this is technology, like a lot of people in this modern day world, when they look at these people and they say all these primitives, or they're wearing their feathers, or they're having the wearing this animal skin or whatever. No, man, what these people feel to see and recognize and understand, overstand, understand is that um just holding the energy of the animal, you're able to tap into with that animal and have that animal spirit as a ally or a guide or a helper, when you're doing your work. You know what I mean? So if there's a dealing with like in cases of like what I consider even exorcisms, and you have thousands of negative entities that you have to pull off and they're coming at you like at rapid speed, your mind and your thought has to be as fast as that. So you're going in and this all goes into creative visualization as well. It all ties in, and you're going in and you're taking them out and you're transforming some of them into higher beings, shooting them out into the sun or whatever, or transmutation. There might be moments in your sessions where you might get tired out, you know That's when you're calling on your spirit helpers, your guides, and all of a sudden they're coming out of nowhere and they're swooping down and using their etheric feathers to sweep off the negative being off of that person. Or like I've seen in certain situations, they're coming in with their beak and pecking away at the cancer or whatever, you know, and it gets just as real. There's a comment here. When you heal people, do you find it easier to work on others than yourself? Yes, of course. Um, I mean, and somebody else made another comment. Do you plan to visit the Bay Area again in 2023, possibly with Bufo? Um, I'll definitely be coming to the Bay Area. Yeah, next year. Maybe around March or April. But I'll definitely keep heads abreast to what's going on. And in regard to the other question, yes, definitely. Um, I feel all the time, and I get humbled all the time when I'm working with people, and people say, "Well, thank you, Dooley." I was like, "No, no, don't thank me, thank you." Because particularly I work with Shunga a lot when that's my particular medicine when I'm doing the psychic surgeries and stuff. And every time when I'm working with someone, I'm also getting work done on myself as well. You know, it's like a school. It's like you're in the school on the other side, and there's while you're working on someone, there's things that these spirit helpers or even your ancestors or whatever, or even more advanced beings will bring to your attention to say, hey, man, you need to sharpen up on this, or you need to look at this, or why are you still holding on to that? You know? And so it's like a simultaneous healing as while I'm working on someone else and beings are working for me sometimes to work through that person, I'm also having a healing myself. And I tell people that all the time. I was like, don't thank me, thank you. Because by me even working with you, I'm doing some work for myself as well. And I believe that there's always going to be some work to be done, not even for yourself, just also for your bloodline. We know about epigenetic DNA. We know that even some of the work that you're doing for yourself is not even for yourself, it's for your ancestors, for your bloodline as well. So there's always work to be done. And in my opinion, being in this dimension here, so I feel one has to be aware of that, because if they're not, sometimes we could get a little too big headed and feel like like I have all the answers and, I'm all Gucci. I feel that, knowing that there's always work to be done, it keeps you more in a humble place of always learning, always something to more to learn. And to the other side, it's like, even like I two clients in Mexico, two good friends that they wanted me to work with and with them. And one woman, she had some issues with her ovaries. She had some cancer type of thing going on, and she believed that the doctor did some foul stuff to her ovaries, or something was went down that she knew she was her right ever since. And I remember when I started to work with her, it was interesting. One thing is that I notice sometimes when I'm in that deep trance, my hand might do this real serious shaking or real tapping type of thing. And they might have me do this tapping thing on a particular part of the body or what have you. So I remember at that moment, it was like the spirit animal of the dog came through. And I think that was the first time really I worked with the spirit of the dog. I mean, no, don't get me. May take that back. Anubis has come to me before, but that's technically a Chackerhead being. But an actual type dog spirit. It was interesting because this dog spirit was coming through, and it was like sniffing out the area that needed to be worked on. And it was like my hands were doing like this type of thing. And when I got there, when it got to the place, it was like you would see a dog trying to in the backyard trying to dig up some dirt because it buried a bone somewhere or whatever. It was like digging up the disease or the illness or the stagnation in that area or whatever. And when that happened after that, it was like the spirit of the spider came after him. And it looked like kind of like a golden retriever or something, right? But then after that, it was like the spirit of the spider came and it was like doing this crisscross type of thing. And it was like on a cellular that someone says dogs being trained to smell cancer sounds familiar. Wow, that's interesting. I heard something about that. Now, I didn't even think about that, but now that you mentioned that, that's interesting. Wow, very interesting. Yeah, dogs have been known to smell certain diseases on people before it really starts to manifest seriously. Like they like so deep, man. Like reality is so fucking deep sometimes. Um, but then came the spiders, and they were like weaving and doing this weaving type of thing on a cellular level. It's like the only way I could describe it is like from the Marvel movie Ant-Man and Wasp. You know how they go in on a go in on a microscopic level. That's how it is for me when I'm doing these healings. It's like I close my eyes and now I'm entering into body, and now it's going deeper, deeper, deeper. And when I was going deep in there, now it was like the web of these spiders would go in, and it would like weaving together whatever needed to be well weaved together on that cellular level, which I found amazing. And the sister, when I came out of the session, it was funny. I always ask people, well, how was your experience on your end? And she was like, oh, yeah, the spiders came to me. And I was like, oh, snap, that's so deep. So I told her what I seen and all that. But yeah, man, this stuff is very interesting. I was trying to find a chapter in this book. I'm gonna finally get a highlighter for once in my life. You know, but but yeah, I think I was leaving off with this guy that had this spirit attachment to him where he was becoming very violent. So in the book he was saying all his techniques weren't working. His spirit team, they it felt like they was having such a hard time dealing with this dude. So his spirit guides told him to punch him. He's like, what? Punch him? And it's like, yeah, punch him. He punched him in the head and caught him by surprise, but whatever spirit was on him, like jetted off of him when he punched him, you know? And the guy was like, you could imagine the onlookers in this ceremony were like, what the fuck did this shaman dude do that to that dude for? But the dude was able to let go of that spirit, and he started sobbing right there. And the next day he came to the guy, the author of this book, and told him how he felt like that spirit that been plaguing him for so long finally left him and stopped tormenting him. So I'm not saying for anybody to go there around and punch everybody in the face like that, but there's very unorthodox situations sometimes for some people that are able to see beyond the veil. And but I'm trying to find when he's talking about the warrior shamans. Um, and he goes into this description of uh certain animal spirits that are helpers and different things of that nature. But well, maybe well, you just get the book your daggone self and you could read it and see what it's about. But I'm gonna cut this off because I'm gonna go do some qigong myself, and just wanted to share with y'all and also share with y'all like how great of a time it was in Mexico. you know, living in the city sometimes, and it's important to get out in nature. It's important to travel. It's important to connect with different people, man, to have a more world view, man, you know. Um, this is your life. You gotta create it, right? And you know, there's always gonna be chaos and stuff that's part of the package, but self-mastery allows a person to create their own reality and how they respond to it, you know. Um, Somebody says, "Thank you, brother. Much love. Appreciate you." I appreciate you too. Thank you. You know, but I'm gonna sign off. Somebody says, "Bless you, mate." Thank you, is Kane. Yes, and the other person I said earlier was y'all. Thank y'all. Gratitude for sharing, Stephanie. Yeah, Princess Peace. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Um, yeah, but yeah, you know, let's work on ourselves. That's all we came here to do anyway. And while we're here, let's change this world, man. And give back, especially to the youth, and also help out the elders. They have a lot of things to share through their life experiences, you know. And and take it day by day. Don't be so hard on yourself, you know. It's like that Russian doll. You see the Russian doll that you remember they have the Russian dolls that have the different layers, like the big one, then a little one, then a little one, a little small one. You know, there's many layers to us, and you we have to we and sometimes we don't even know the trauma, which is deep. Like I did a healing for myself not that long ago, and you know, uh it was interesting because I was able to see what happened to me when I was in preschool. You know, there was this guy who was violating the children there, you know, and for the first time, somebody said it. I came in when you said, "Don't be so hard on yourself." Word. Um, I was able I was able to see how he was violating us in that classroom, you know, and they showed me in the coat room little area, and I was able to see him for the first time, you know. And so we never know what some of us, when it comes to trauma, sometimes how it's so painful, or we're not able, or we're so young that we kind of bury it in our unconscious or subconscious mind, that sometimes we walk through life and not knowing why we're holding certain pain, or why we have certain anxieties or certain things. So it's important, very important, to do this work on ourselves, you know, because you're not just doing it for yourself. Again, you're doing it for your bloodline, you're doing it for humanity, you're doing it for all sentient beings. And it's like a ripple effect. They call it the 100 monkey theory, where you know where the monkeys evolved in how they ate their potatoes or whatever, you know, and one of them decided to put the potato to get the salt off the potato, putting it in the water, right? Hold on. One person says the hardest part is to forgive ourselves. We stay in the dark when we are ashamed of ever having been not in the light. I agree. I mean, that is the hardest part. Is really forgiving ourselves, and you know, we're gonna make mistakes. You know, that's life. And big thing is if we're gonna learn from what was the lesson there. You know, um, somebody else says here, only when we could forgive ourselves, we can forgive others. And the feeling of the feeling of forgiving is way better than being forgiven by others. I agree. I agree. I mean, I remember there was this movie I seen. I think it was, I forgot the name of it. Was it the seven people you'll meet in heaven or something, seven steps to heaven or something? I forget. But basically, it was this dude who was a war veteran. I think he was a Vietnam vet. And it showed how he burnt down this village, and it was one hut where there was this little Vietnamese girl that was in the hut, and he didn't know she was in there, and she came out running out being burned, you know, and died in there, right? Died in the process or whatever, right? So This guy was being plagued by that situation. He was carrying that whole situation for years, right? And in the movie, it showed how um, I think he worked at the amusement park, and it was a part on the ride that was loose, and it fell down. It hit him, and he literally was died or was in this limbo type of space. So before he was able to go on to his next mission, next lifetime, or what have you, he had to make a means with forgiving this situation. So the little girl came to him in the astral realm who died, and she came to him burnt, and he's like, no, stay away from me, stay away from me, covering his eye, his astral eyes and all that. And it's like, no. And eventually she came to him another time, but this time she wasn't burnt up. And she was like, I forgive you, you know? And he had to learn to forgive, and basically said, I'm not holding this against you, you know? And he starts sobbing, and he had to forgive himself. He had to forgive his heart. And that's when he was able to graduate, and to go where he needed to go. But this is a school, man. I mean, I see this reality as, in my opinion, yeah, I might be wrong, might be right. I don't know. I'm just speaking from the things that I've learned over the years. I believe it's a place for us to learn about ourselves, and also like my first Bufo experience, like God experiencing itself, through all these incarnations and through these various different beings, So I mean, it might sound weird, but like, to for God to experience himself as a rapist, to experience himself as a healer, to experience himself as a drug addict, or to experience himself as a bus driver, a teacher, whatever, I mean, you could think of. And from my perspective is like it it for because from all scriptures, I don't care where you read it from, it talks about, like, even in the Kabbalah, it talks about Insof. Insof is this type of description of the undescribable. It's this classification of something that is formless, that has not even manifest itself, and describing it just by itself. All the scriptures talk about this, from this nothingness into becoming things. So it's this experience of creating its own self to know itself, and in this case, living through every aspect. And quantum physics could tell, it kind of correlates, because it's like everything on a quantum scale is like, has consciousness to it, you know from a dust particle to an ant on the floor, to, what I mean, to a human being, you know so I mean, I think this is a place of learning. And when we come, because we're all gonna goof up. No one's perfect here, and I think it's when we're able to learn from it and be real with ourselves and be like, yo, I fucked up. I was immature at that stage in my life, or there was a lot of trauma there, and a lot of programming there, or what have you. And I had to learn to be more responsible, or I had to learn how to get over this or that. you know um there's nothing wrong with self-analyzation, and there's definitely nothing wrong with trying to better yourself. you know so there's always room for growth. I mean, there's plenty of times I could look at things in my past and say, man, I wish I made it better choices. But all those experiences made me who I am today. And even if there's people I've hurt in the past, even if it was unintentionally, um, I have to still forgive myself and ask that, hopefully, these people, if there's people who I've hurt in the past, to hope that they forgive me as well. You know, all we can do is walk in our truth and keep on learning. You know, so there was some comments here. So let me try to read these real quick before I sign off. How you do this thing? Okay, there we go. There we go. One person said, Kane says, when I use the high dose of mushrooms I have to experience everything I've done exactly how others felt it. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is very true. That is, you know, I want to touch on that for a second because there was two situations where I was in the psychic surgery, and this one person was coming to check on me to see if I was done with working on this young brother because I had another person behind that needed a session, and we was in the park, and I didn't know that I was deep in trance, so I did not know she was walking up towards us. Um, but her just being in the area, I literally, my mind switched with hers. So I was literally in her mind for a second, which was deep. It was wow. I had to snap out and be like, and then that happened another time. So it's interesting. I mean, we're not really disconnected like we think. And even that other ketamine experience I had with my teacher, I mean, it's like a big cosmic soup, you know. And we think things are separate, but they're not, In Buddhism, in Vajrayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, they have a saying, emptiness is form and form is emptiness. You know, it's really nothing that's separate. We think it is, but that's what has to happen on the scale for learning. Let me see here. Somebody else said, yes, there's only one being. We always have been. Exactly. Sometimes I call myself God's hold on. So these comments are going quick. God's imaginary friend as a reminder. That's dope. I like that. That's right, sister. Another person says, yeah, we are creating our lives like a 3D meta emotions to make it real. Okay, yeah. All memories are available to all beings. The mushrooms showed me this. That's what's up. Ketamine is no joke. I got dosed on an ambulance ride, full blown tripped on to the K-hole. We use forms when we can't dwell with source to get back there. That's what's up. Do you know any tricks to beat anxiety for job interviews? It's such an intense moment for me, like an integration. Okay. Well, Oscar, because I deal with Qigong and energy cultivation work, and got initiated into various different forms of Reiki. Your breath. Um, the the key to dealing with anxiety or any of these type of feelings and emotions, if you want to get grounded, you can't forget your breath. I was talking about earlier how most adults, we breathe from our upper chest and therefore rob ourselves from the whole experience of using all our lungs. As we get older, as an infant, okay, no problem. Yeah, peace. Yeah. As well, infants, we breathe predominantly from our stomach area, abdomen area. And when you breathe like that, you're using your whole lung capacity. You're bringing more chi energy into you. And like I tell people all the time, when you do more deeper breath work, I bet I could bet someone, like, if you're going through something, particular emotion, I bet you can't hold on to it if you're changing your breath. Your breath is always dictating how you feel. Like, just notice that if you're anxious or even if you're angry, your breathing pattern changes, right? More short breaths. What? What, motherfucker? You know what I mean? But as like, I used to even work at this after school program teaching art and stuff. And I noticed when I worked with the children, I was like, when any of them was super hyperactive or just needed some grounding, I would automatically, hey, sit down for a second, let's take some deep breaths, you know? So breathing, my friend, is one of the key things that you can do to maybe help you with that anxiety. Is taking some deeper, more conscious, aware breaths. And somebody says, "Yeah, you're right. To breathe is to listen, and it changes everything." Yeah, I mean, do the breathing, and also something that's been useful for me too is get yourself a selenite wand. All right, selenite is great. Crystals in general are great tools to raise your vibration up. But I have selenite swords that I use with some of my clients, and these particular swords are great because it's not just selenite. There are other crystals with it, but even this, for instance, Sister Dawn, big up to her. She gave me this years ago. This is a selenite piece. Get one, go over your work field and scan the area of tension. So most people, when they're dealing with anxiety, fear, and stuff like that, you'll usually hear people talk about the butterflies. I'm feeling the butterflies in the stomach area, right? So I would just scan your body. That scanning with selenite or some other type of crystal is all you have to do is go so many inches away from your body and you scan the area of tension. All right. So if it's your stomach, I would go to your stomach with this sunlight, and I would just brush over that area. You know, this is brushing over the you're changing the stagnant energy in that area right there, and there's really no right or wrong way to do it. You can make circular movements, you can make wavy type of movements. There's all kinds of different ways that you can do to change the energy, to transform it, and also to bring grounding to yourself. All right. And you have to understand, we have to utilize nature, y'all. Nature here is here to aid us and help us with any type of issues that we're dealing with. So if a person's dealing with anxiety, go mama nature. Go outside, go get some sun, because you know, the lack of vitamin D as well relates to depression and stuff as well. But also go ground, take those shoes off, put your feet in Mama Earth, and definitely find a tree that you connect with and hug a tree. I know it might sound hippie-ish, but goddamn it, them hippies was on to something when they was hugging them trees, and we knew it started even before the damn hippies. So this is something we could do. Use nature as an ally to help you to get through some things that might be hard for you at the time. Okay, there's some other type of comments here. Do you feel the problematic? Do you feel the problematic energy as heavy? Yes, yes, you should be. That's why they have the old saying, light as a feather, when they talk about the scales of Ma'at, when we're dealing with the Egyptian or Kemetic or Temerian mythos, all right? If you're feeling heavy energy, then you're carrying something. We should be light as a feather. Just see children as examples of how to live in the moment. The children, they might have a problem with each other or whatever. It's, you took my crackers, or you took my Lego or whatever, and they might have their moment. The next moment, they forget about it because they're busy about learning how to have the next fun moment. And they make up or whatever, and they still riding and having playing tag or whatever. So we carry stuff, and we got to learn to let go. and and even Reiki is even amazing. I've been doing Reiki maybe about 20, 21 years now. And you know you have the traditional Usui tradition, but there's so many different traditions. You have Shambhala Reiki that I was initiated into, and pranic healing, and all kinds of different ones, and Joe Ray, different ones. And you could search someone that's been doing the Reiki or energy healing work for some time, and check them out, see if they have something that they could really benefit you, learn the techniques. And Reiki has been amazing for me. You can even send Reiki into the future, right? So even if you have a job interview, there's far distant Reiki. So you send Reiki into the office where you're going to have the interview. You set the time, the date, and you say, have this Reiki available for me. So when you walk into the office, there's a level of serenity, there's a level of a peaceful atmosphere that you're walking into that can help support you to get through that interview with ease. Okay. Let me see. There's another comment here. What experience did you have that taught you? Hold on. How does this thing keep on going in and out? How you go back on this thing? Hold on, y'all. Okay. Someone says, what experience did you have that taught you that using crystals in this way worked for healing? Well, Kane, it many situations, because I've been doing qigong and tai chi and Reiki and stuff like that. I already had years of experience with the sensitivity of feeling energy. Like all people that are beginners with learning about energy cultivation work, the first thing you could do is rub your hands together, right? Rub your hands together vigorously, and then slowly separate your fingers in your hand. You should start in the beginning stages, you should start to feel certain sensations, be it a level of heat, of warmth, of like static type of kinetic, like electricity type of feeling or whatever. But as you start to cultivate it more, you'll start to feel it more and more as you separate your hands. Like I could feel it right now from one hand all the way over here, over here. I feel the tingling sensation, the connection. It's like a magnet. When you feel that pull with the magnet, you should be able to feel as you're starting to cultivate this more, this level of magnetism between the hands. And as you're feeling that more, that same sensation you feel with crystals, you know? And as you get more sensitive to energy, you can, even when you buy your crystals, you'll know which crystals are meant for you and which ones are not. You could feel which ones have a stronger energy and which ones don't. It doesn't matter how the crystal looks like, if it's pretty or whatever, that's irrelevant. It's learning to feel the energy of the crystal. And when you do, you'll start to feel that level of magnetism. And therefore, as you uh, have it pass by over your body and stuff, you could literally feel the heaviness dissolve off of you, you know? You know, even if you're having tension headache or whatever, you put that crystal over there into certain areas where you're feeling it, and you'll feel the headache literally go away, you know? Let me see what else. Yeah, thanks for everything. Thank you so much. Every day, every live stream is blessing. Thank you, Oscar. No problem, my friend. Nature always makes sense. That's right, Kane. Someone says definitely these live stream is very helpful. Helpful. I tried to catch you on Brother Hank's channel or rewatch your program there. Okay, word. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I've thought about children in that way too. They are closer to how Source sees all that it is. I learn from my son all the time. Me too. My children are big teachers as well. Yep. For me, these Tai Chi type of experiences naturally arise when using psychedelics, but I can't feel it sober, but to be honest, rarely. Mushrooms and DMT have unlocked things by allowing the mushrooms to move my body, swaying my hips around, making symbols with my hands that unblock chakras. So I understand what you mean. Yeah, I mean, this is why I've been learning about psychedelics, ethogens, teaching plants, fungi, is that it wasn't usually for everyone. These were usually, don't get me wrong, it's always been part of our culture. It's always been part of humanity's experience. But usually it was given to the adepts, usually given to the initiates for them to take their craft to the next level. So that's why it made so much sense when Baba Kalindi said that the martial artists would use it, the heavy masters would use it, and it would take your gifts that you already have to the next level. That's why when I started using more of the teaching plans with my energy work that I've been doing over the years, it's, I mean, I have to be honest, it's taking my healing practice to the next level, and each time that I'm doing it, I'm learning more and more. It's amazing. Um, but the main thing is that one should be able to learn certain things on the other side, and therefore utilize it in your everyday experiences. Cultivate it so it can become a norm. It's like a story of this guy. His name is Ram Dass. He was an old school Harvard professor. Him and you might hear this other guy's name, Timothy Leary. They were two individuals at Harvard that was experiencing is having their students take mushrooms, LSD. They were psychology um, professors. You know what I mean? So they were doing these experiments with their students and stuff before they got kicked out of Harvard, right? But they were a big part of the hippie, free love, all that movement during the 60s. And Ram Dass went to India once, and he actually had a yoga teacher that, master that he became friends with and started to learn under. And the first thing that blew Ram Dass's mind is that he was able to read him like a book. It was like he told him about some personal things about his life that he's like, "How did you know this, bro?" And one day his teacher was like, knew he was taking acid or tabs, and he's like, well, let me try this, and I think the yoga guy took a whole handful of tabs and just ate the whole thing, and just looked at the dude, had no effect on him at all. And it won't have an effect on anyone who's constantly in that natural psychedelic state 24 hours a day anyway. All right. In that place of what they would call samadhi. Um, it's our natural state. We produce DMT within our body naturally. We are walking psychedelic beings ourselves. It's been proven that when you do light deprivation, I believe it's 21 days in total darkness, that you have a full blown psychedelic experience. It has research has shown that when you do certain type of breathing techniques, that your brain is flooded with DMT, all right, in your lungs, all right. So we're walking psychedelic beings ourselves, all right. Um, because we had this great fall, the great fall of humanity, we're relearning through the aid of nature how to get back to our natural selves. So again, like I was saying earlier from this book earlier, the guy that lived 256 years old, the other person that, you know, stayed in the pond at the bottom of the pond all day because it was too hot for him. We don't know what we're capable of because of this great fall with humanity, you know? So, um, so it's important, I think, in my opinion, to use nature as a teacher right now, because we are nature, as a way, as a tool. We have so many tools at our disposal to be able to help us in so many different ways, you know. So tap into it, tap into it. You know what I mean? Hold on, it's another comment here. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, and again, like the brother said that, that couldn't have that, would feel these things on the psychedelic because again, it increases our awareness. You're bypassing the logical mind and you're tapping into something very primal that tells you how to tap into your body at that moment, to move this certain way, to open the mudras and all those different things. There's been plenty of times, oh yeah, I'm on the medicine and it's telling me to do my hands this way and that way. It's excellent to have body awareness, to move. You might have been having pain for months or so many years, and then on that mushroom experience, it might just tell you a certain way to move your body, and there's this whole release of pain. So yeah. So what you're feeling on the psychedelics, you can do sober. Okay. Um, you just have to do the practice, the Qigong practice, the Reiki practice, or whatever modality or school of thought that you're into or that calls you, and just start doing it on a regular basis. And you'll start to feel it more. You know what I mean? So yeah. Um, Okay. To diet plants as a shaman is not done by many. I don't think many can handle using high doses every week as a practice. The healing becomes everything. Yes, you don't supposed to do like, that's why when, you do mushrooms and have a big trip and you try to do it the next day, it's not as intense because you have to rebuild up your serotonin level. There's things that certain herbs that you can take to rebuild up your brain, actually, to feed your brain, um, because there's so many things that are serotonin level and different other things that are affected when you're using the medicine. Um, you know, some people microdose, but that's a whole different thing. But having big trips like that, nah, it's not meant to be taken every day like that. That's when you're, in my opinion, I think people might be abusing shit like that, or having a level of codependency. You know, these things again are there to teach you certain things about yourself, about reality, the nature of reality, all these different things. But in my opinion, you're supposed to bring that information back so you can integrate it within your own life and share it with others. And again, integration is a big thing that's a part of the psychedelic experience. When we don't integrate, then what the fuck are we doing this for? Now you're chasing a cheap thrill, you know, and that's why you could see people that have gone to tons of ayahuasca ceremonies or this ceremony or wachuma ceremony or that, this or that, and still come back with the same reloops. They're just relooping and coming back with the same type of baggage, or coming with the same shit that they, been carrying for years. So integrating what we learned is a plus. And integration could look like so many different things. You can approach it from so many different angles. But yeah, keeping a journal is dope, you know, writing down these experiences so you can come back to them ever so often and revisit that teaching with that you had on the other side, you know. Let me see what else is said here. Um, in diet, well, in ayahuasca they have the dieta, so there's certain people that also really hold firm to a certain way that we can eat to get the best benefits out of these medicines as well, or these natural technologies. Yes, there is no carpa, ugh, car, compartmentalization from the work. Everything is part of our work. Yes. And yes, his teacher read him because he was so balanced and that he could clearly see where Ram Dass game was. That's true. Okay. So with that, my friends, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go do some of my qigong, like I said, then go get something to eat, carry on with my day. But I felt called to do a live, man, to share with folk. I haven't done one in a while, and whenever I feel I'm called to do it, I try to do it and share with folk. But yeah, man. Somebody says, bye, have a blessed winter day. Thank you. Yeah, it's different than being in Mexico when I was out there in the sun, man. It's cold over here now. But y'all take care, man. Keep on working on yourself. Like I said, don't be so hard on yourself. Carry the joy within, and because we can elaborate on all the hardships and all the bullshit that's going on. That's easy. It's easy to feed into the negativity. You know, what's new? People are crazy. What the fuck? The fuck is new? You know what I mean? It's like there's always going to be some agenda or someone who wants to be. I'm the king of the mountain. Full of ego and full of pride and just delusion. But sooner or later, like I said, just like that 100 monkey theory, the more that we work on the self, our own personal self, that's where the real revolution starts. And as you work on yourself and learn how to shed all the bullshit you don't need, now you become a more wholesome individual where you're able to really make effective change for the rest of the world and the rest of reality. So, yeah, man, keep the love going high, man. All right, and see, I think it was one more comment. It helps to ask questions. Thank you so much for your time and energy. No problem, Kane. And Stephanie says much love and appreciation. Thank you, thank you. And Tamika says them you. Yeah. All right. All right. So let's cut this off. We're gonna be in Detroit next month. If anybody wants to stop through for the medicine work, Mama Yana have wanted me to do. No, I think it might be. Excuse me, might be. I said in early February, and I'm gonna be doing some work with Brother Chief Nighthawk out of Atlanta, Georgia. And Chief Nighthawk, good peoples. He's been working with Mama Aya for so many years. If you ever want to experience a great Aya ceremony, check him out. But he's gonna be teaming up with me on to do some work for the Detroit area. Again, I might be in the Bay Area, maybe around March. And if you want me to come to your town and do some work with you and your peoples, just let me know. Again, my email is lovemother number 33 at gmail.com. Also, you can find me on IG and on Facebook on Shaman Dooley, Duli. And I'm all usually in New York, Brooklyn area on Wednesdays and Thursdays. If people are on the East Coast and want to stop by and say what up. It's a good group of people over there that usually meet up every week, especially on Wednesday nights when we deal with the venoms and different medicines. All right. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate y'all time and keep on doing your thing. All right. Peace and love.